Yeah, back in the field with the track stars Ryan Righteous, Sean Tanner, DJ Jeremiah. All right. Like we said, like we promised, this is the second iteration of Dissect. Okay, let's do it. All right, so the song we're going to be doing today is called Locked Out of Heaven by Bruno Mars. Now, some people be like, Bruno Mars, what he going to talk about? Like, how could that be bad, what he doing? Just wait. All right, because the reason we're doing Bruno is because a lot of times you think, you know, hip-hop is, they the only one saying the worst stuff ever, but not always the case. So let's get through this one. All right. Starts out. Never had much faith in love or miracles. Never want to put my heart on the line. But swimming in your world is something spiritual. I'm born again every time you spend the night. 'Cause your sex takes me to paradise. And it shows. 'Cause you make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven for far too long. You bring me to my knees. You make me testify. You can make a sinner change his ways. Open your gates, 'cause I can't wait to see the light. And right there is where I want to stay. Now, hold on. Just right there already. There's been two things, violations, so far. Before I even finished.
More than two. I counted more than two.
There's been some violations. We're going to come back to them because the Born Again line, I'm going to pick that one out.
You lost me with miracles.
Yeah. First line.
All right. So he goes into, where did I stop? He says, you bring me to my knees. You make me testify. You can make a sinner change his ways. Oh, I said that one. All right. And he says,
I didn't catch that one.
Yeah. Look.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, this one is crazy. I want to say this one again. All right. You bring me to my knees. You make me testify. You can make a sinner change his ways. Open up your gates, because I can't wait to see the light. And right there is where I want to stay. He goes back into the hook again. It sounds like the rest of it is the hook. So those are the two verses of his song, right? And you may miss it because it's you know, hidden in a lot of melody and a lot of you know, runs, and his voice sounds really good. The beat, you know, supports what he's saying pretty well. But let's go back to this. Help me with this. Swimming in your world is something spiritual. I'm born again every time you spend the night.
That's wild.
How can you say that?
Definitely a problem. I just think that you know, this is a good segment because we are dissecting. We're probably gonna find a lot more like this from artists that we wouldn't even consider to be a threat. But that's clearly, you know, a hit at Christianity, and I think that he's gotten away with it because people don't know the words. Because when I first decided to watch the video, I was just like, let me see if this jumps out at me, and it didn't. None of it.
None of it.
None of it.
I mean, I knew, like, when I first heard the song, I was like, okay, I knew it's risky. He's basically saying, I got the words where it was like, I've been locked out of heaven for too long, and I knew he was referencing godly imagery, but I was like, okay, you know, probably not the best idea, but it didn't strike me just listening to it. And it wasn't until somebody was singing, me and my wife were watching The Voice, and somebody sang his song. And the person singing his song was pronouncing everything very well. Like, it was clear. And she was like, what did she say? And when she said the Born Again line, I rewound it, and then I listened to it again. I was like, oh, no, you can't say that.
Wow.
You can't say that.
Crazy.
So, and then it goes on from there. Like, you know, let me open up your gates. Like, this is all heaven imagery. This is all Christian imagery. So, what's interesting about it, I think you said this earlier, Cyrus, this doesn't have any meaning outside of Christianity. What does born again mean outside of a Christian context? This is a specific Christian-based song. So it's a question Toya asked earlier. Is he a Christian? Was he raised? Like, why would you go here to imagery that not a lot of people know about and pull that for a song? What's the point? What's the reason for that?
Man, I think it's to answer the question, man, can beats be evil? Yes, because they distract us from the words that we were hearing. like when we first played the video, we were all like, oh yeah, you know, moving our heads, and yeah, you get it, and you're like, okay, but you can get through that whole song without knowing what it's saying, and it could become your favorite. You know, it's interesting because there's a song by Flo Rida, I Cried. And I thought about that, and I'm like, wow, he says kind of some of the same things in there, but I never would have known that if I hadn't just stopped and listened to the words, you know what I mean? And it made me look at Flo Rida a little different. You saw the video, makes you look at him different. Okay,
now here's the other thing. I was listening to Andy Stanley this week. I don't know if you guys follow the Your Move series that he just started. It's amazing. And I've been listening to Andy Stanley for a long time. When his podcast used to be an hour, I would sit in my car at lunch and just listen to the whole podcast. But I think they've rebranded it a little bit, and they shortened it to 30-minute segments. He has a TV show now that comes on right after Saturday Night Live, so he gets his target market. It's been amazing. He has an app now called Your Move. Great stuff they're doing over at North Point. But his last message, he talked about this. Is judging wrong? And the point of it is because you hear don't judge me, right? Yeah. But what the Bible says is that you're supposed to judge people who consider themselves to be Christian, but you're not supposed to judge people outside of the world. Right. So now, this song, how are we supposed to respond to Bruno? Are we supposed to respond to him as a Christian because he knows so much, or do we assume that he's not and he knows not what he does? What's the right response?
We Meek Mill him.
You boycott him.
Well, how about so that because I don't know if he's a Christian or his relationship with God, and people are always going to be like, "Oh, you're judging." Why don't we just judge the lyrics like as they stand?
Yeah.
And I think one thing, like we know, like a lot of, guys get hurt too in relationships. Women get hurt as well. But when people think about somebody getting hurt in a relationship, the imagery is a woman getting hurt, and women more so cater to R&B music or music that's more lustful or sensual in that sense. And I think what makes it so powerful is when the lyrics have like some type of spiritual connotation behind them. Like whenever they're like something that's making that person like they've taken you to some spiritual level, or they're almost like your God. It's like when people listen to the songs, whoever they're dating at the time, or whoever they're kicking it with, or just whoever they're kicking it with like that at the time, they start to think about that person whenever they're singing these songs, and then it's like they're almost like speaking like that stuff out, like pretty much saying like like, oh, you're my life, you're my love, you make me feel like I'm locked out of heaven, your sex takes me to paradise. I'm born again every time you spend the night. So that's why when that person leaves them, it's like they feel like they can't go on without that person because they psychologically and spiritually made that person their God in a sense.
Wow. Yeah.
And so it's real dangerous. It's real dangerous.
There's a word popping in my head over and over again, and it's a very Christian word, and it's a very old word, but I wonder if I should bring it up and see if it applies. And it's the word blasphemy. Is this blasphemy? What he's saying? Is this that serious? Because that's a very serious word in the Bible.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Is that what this is?
Yeah, it's blasphemy. Mm-hmm.
That's big. But
you don't know it's blasphemy until you look at it from that context. You know what I mean? Like he wouldn't know that if he's not a Christian. He wouldn't be afraid of it. Maybe that's different. Maybe they know it's blasphemy, but they're not afraid of it because they don't believe in God.
And I think it makes it dangerous too when people are dancing
very
and
dangerous.
bobbing their heads to it because you're
agreeing
support
with the
video.
And then the video so just it isn't blasphemy,
And it makes me angry. You know why? Because the song is good. And
it is good.
Stupid song.
It's catchy.
Now I can't like your stupid song because of the stuff you said. I'm mad at you.
You just gotta wait for somebody. Like I actually did not mind the Amen beat in the song, but when Mouthpiece remixed it, I was able to like the song. So it's like you usually gotta wait for somebody to remix Bruno Mars. Maybe FMG should remix Bruno Mars, and then you can like the beat. You can like everything about it. Because when I heard the Meek Mill Amen, of course it got under my skin. Because I just hated the fact that he would take the words and do that with it. But then also, I hated it because it was so catchy. I was like, oh. And then you would hear it on 107.9 and be like,
last question.
I think it was that catchy. But
last question. Which one was worse? Bruno Mars, Locked Out of Heaven, or Meek Mill, Amen?
Locked out of heaven.
I think. Well, you didn't see the
What?
video.
I haven't heard. I haven't heard. No, I didn't see the video, and I don't remember. Like, all I remember is the hook.
Okay, I think Meek Mill is worse because it was toppled with cursing.
You don't like cursing, man.
I don't like cursing.
You have
But,
a thing
okay,
against
listen.
cursing.
At the beginning of the video, the words of the songs, I just want to thank God for all these Benjamins he let me count, all these girls he let me sleep with, and let me ball on all these ends, right?
Yeah.
At the beginning of the video, it shows him in bed with like 7, 8 girls. But he's actually thanking God. Bruno Mars just used some of the words, but he didn't go as far as to thank God.
Well, I mean,
For
I mean, this is how I see it. Like cursing is bad, but personally, I would rather curse out of my mouth. I don't curse, but I would rather curse out of my mouth than blaspheme God. I think that's another. That's another. I mean, but if I had to put one another level, like that's direct disrespect. Like I'm gonna take words that should only go to glorify God, and I'm gonna glorify another human being.
well, I mean, Meek Mill was
words.
blasphemous too, so it's scary for both of them, really.
Yeah.
But for me, I would say the Meek Mill one was a little bit more because here's the other thing: you don't really understand what Bruno Mars is saying until you look at the lyrics.
That may make it more
word
dangerous,
for word.
though.
More dangerous.
That may
Yeah,
make it
that's
more
what I'm
dangerous.
thinking. That's just like a serpent,
this
like a
was my wife's, and I hope I represent her well. She said the reason she says Bruno's is worse is because if you're a Christian, you listen to Meek Mill, it's so flagrantly,
It's obvious.
It's like, come on, man. But this, even a Christian may be singing this in the shower,
they
and they
won't
may
think
be
anything
all
bad
into
about
it,
it.
and it could be seeping into their system. And this may be a covert strike versus that was like, come on, dude, get out
If
of here.
they singing in the shower, they ought to know.
No.
Seriously, Meek Mill. If you're a Christian, you turn it on, you don't get convicted, then you really got a problem.
That's what we're saying.
But I'm saying the Bruno Mars thing, you could be singing that in the shower, and if you don't know the words, now you do. If you're singing it in the shower.
I mean, but you could just be singing the hook over and over and not thinking anything about it.
Yeah, but the hook, even in the hook, is the same message throughout the song. So I mean,
beats are evil.
I'll leave it up to y'all. I'll leave it up to y'all. Tell me.